Right. Hey everyone. How's your release going? Right? Did you snag a box? Did you get a little bit impatient waiting for yours to come and just run out on release day to try and grab one? Unfortunately, I'm not in that luxury. I am rural, so regardless of even if I want to go buy one directly from LGS, there is no LGS nearby that stocks Flesh and Blood. Unfortunately, right? So shipping wise, I'm probably not going to get till middle of next week either, right? Because it has to go to the main city. Then from the main city, it goes to the regional, parcel center that then gets shipped out to all the rural towns. And that's usually like a 3-day system. So shipped out from the store Friday, gets to the city distribution. Then Monday gets sent to the regional distribution, and then Tuesday gets sent down to me, and then hopefully comes by then, or not last before the post office closes, and I have a chance to actually go pick it up. But I digress, right? PSA, this is a nice post and something to really remember, right? The set is hyperinflated at the moment. For the first couple of weeks, it is going to be hyperinflated, and everyone's going to be racing to the bottom to move their cards. And depending on how big your area is, that's going to happen quickly. It's going to happen slowly. So if you are looking for singles, do shop around, do look, do actually try and gauge at what the realistic price for X cards should be. Because again, everything, even across good stores or I guess TCG Player or even Facebook, right? They're going to be inflated because it's just. They might be lower than everywhere else, but it's still going to be higher than what it's going to settle at, right? So, yeah, if you're cracking boxes and you get cards that you are not necessarily interested in keeping or playing, right? I would say try and move them quickly, and then wait a couple weeks, unless you want an actual deck or anything for events coming up. Then I guess you're kind of out of luck, right? But then buy all the singles you actually want. So yeah, if you're going to buy singles, shop around a bit first. I was looking at TCG Player as my default, assuming the average folks would be undercutting the larger sites. Part of Mistveil, turns out Star City Games has most stuff significantly cheaper, and there's plenty in stock at the moment. Last time I looked at Star City Games, again, it was still higher than what I'd expect for some cards, right? I do kind of expect Kindle to go on the rise just because obviously Arcane is speculated as the last set of the year. I don't really think it's the last set of the year. I think it'll be something else, and then Arcane will be the first set of next year, maybe. But there will be stuff that continues to climb, and then stuff that does plummet, right? I think Riddler had a nice segment on paying how it was something ridiculous. It was like $20 for a Majestic hero, just so you could have the deck rate play. Not Marvel, not anything special, just the Majestic adult hero that is still hard to find in boxes, but will eventually be a 50-cent card. So yeah, shop around. But anyway, let's jump into this. So LSS and pre-order distribution. So I have a question that no one I spoke to gave me a solid answer or countered my argument against. So I'm putting out to see what your take is. So LSS won't allow pre-orders to go to people before the set date, and this I feel is problematic because most people who pre-order don't get boxes to arrive on the date. I have even seen LGSs not get the order on time, so a lot of people just sit here waiting for delivery companies to get the boxes to you. Even LSS must know that delivery companies are not always reliable, and so not allowing them to ship something like 24 hours before is idiotic, and this just causes frustration. Now, I had to think about why LSS would do this, and I can't find a solid reason. So these are the conclusions that this person has come to, right? Everyone knows what's in a set before it gets realized, and LSS do most of the spoiling for us, so for this to be a reason is stupid, right? It spoils the set for everyone. We don't get leaks. Right, LSS again, there's a 3-week cycle, spoilers, premiere, pre-release events, release, right? And that is over a 3-week. Well, obviously the spoilers start earlier, but by the time the spoilers are fully done, right? Stops people having an advantage. No, it does not, especially with FaB's or Talshare documenting the cards, LSS spoils, and then allowing people to build, test, and play them online. I can bet a good few of you reading this made deck lists on one of those websites. I'm guilty of this myself. A 24-hour window is not an advantage if they're not tournament legal till the release date. Yeah, speaking of Talshare, again, from pre-release is when I noticed it was the highest amount of people playing, right, in the open format rather than what's current. So playing Mistveil meta, right? So pre-release, a week before the actual set came out, is when everyone just decided, oh, who cares? And it is interesting, right? We'll get into my perspective in a little bit. It stops illegal sales of cards. Nope, not if you allow them to be sent to people 24 hours beforehand. And while websites like Card Markets and others do not allow the shipping of cards before the release date, that's not going to stop Discord servers, Facebook groups from doing it, etc. Plus, again, you have lots of places that allow you to pre-order, right, the week of, so that they can then ship on the release day. And Yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of thing. And you'll have, again, people doing interpersonally. You have people from the pre-release events, people from the premiere, right? Also trading cards, doing all that. If anything, it just creates this awful bubble that we are sort of in, where someone's going to end up a sucker while others end up profiting. So I'd like to know what everyone else thinks. Do you agree or disagree, or is there something I haven't thought about? So in line with all this, right? Again, all these things are a little irrelevant. LSS does go through the spoilers of the set fairly quickly, right? It doesn't stop anyone having advantage. There's speculation, there's planning. Even without Talishera Fabry to actually playtest, right? It's not that hard to do it theoretically, and you can definitely at least build decks and everything like that. Even, well, I would assume going forward from spoilers, everything will be updated on LSS's or FaB's own specific database, and you can then use that, right? In terms of the sales, again, it creates this huge peak where there is just a ton of demand versus supply, because again, boxes have just come out in drips and drabs from each of the different series of events, that all the prices are hyperinflated, right? And again, we'll go back to the other argument we want to talk about more of, mass box openings. The stores not running and selling singles, they lose out on a big margin of what sustains Fab in an LGS. And then that leads to this issue of, well, if everyone just jumps to the singles boat, right, which the majority of people do, then those LGSs that are, again, selling a product past release are gonna struggle a bit more. But let's leave the comments. So as a store that just shipped over 1,000 boxes a day, I'm tired. So this, can be inferred either way, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say, yeah, a lot of stores, because they don't want to disappoint customers, are in just a huge rush to get everything shipped and sent on the release day, which would be an absolute nightmare and a headache. And again, if they go the other way and do it slowly, do it comfortably, then eventually, you'll have people who go, why didn't you ship it in the morning so I could have it by the afternoon, right? I want it release day. Screw you, refund me, or the worst of the worst, right? And then if you go the other way, pre-release, you'll still have the same issue, right? First in, first out is obviously the way to do it, but people buying don't give a shit, and they can't see either. So they'll again be, well, why didn't you ship my stuff early, right? And there's no way to keep people happy, and that's the unfortunate thing. I do think that it should just be, maybe not the premiere, right? I like having that sort of special event, but from pre-release should be when you can buy boxes. And fine, you want to capture community and all that, and make us go to an LGS, sure. Put in just a ruling: you can buy boxes at pre-release events, right? You can't orders online or anything like that, right? Because again, we're in the 21st century, but LSS still has this kind of grudge against the internet and all that, and they want everything, community in the flesh and blood, right? So yeah, you could do something like that, and it'll be a bit better, maybe. But again, then it falls on LSS and whatever distribution networks they have to get the product to stores in time. It's literally just a line that needs to be drawn somewhere. If LSS bends and allows people to sell a set early, then that just becomes a new release date. Then people complain again, it gets pushed back another day. It could be an endless tug of war. Better not to let that happen, or let stores push those small advantages that don't need to exist. The problem is, right, that there are lots of stores with set advantages, right? There are stores in certain areas, again, because of the distribution networks, who can get the product early, who can rip them themselves, stock singles, sell singles, get the release bonus, right? However you want to sum it up, the overinflated value of cards, versus other stores who will stock it. And again, will dwindle because a lot of the community, is forced to then shop online rather than go to stores. It's a really hard thing. It goes back to again, LSS's somewhat inability to sustain flesh and blood in certain areas, right? They can set it up well, but there are so many factors that go into sustaining it, and LSS are not really giving any of those advantages to the smaller stores, right? Again, massive Star City Games, single seller, crack ton of boxes, supply, seller singles, pre-order, and then ship them all out on release day. Versus a small store who's just selling boxes and no one cares anymore because singles are the hot commodity. You make good points. They shut down Tasha February. I hope the sarcasm. Yeah, just kidding. OP didn't make good points. didn't make good points. Interesting. Well, about the advantage thing. Yeah, I don't think, obviously, Teleshare or Fabry is to blame, right? It's more just what exists, right? Again, it's not that hard to think about interactions or plan, pen and paper or however theoretically you want to do it. I mean, most of my pre-release was spent on Excel, mapping out card sequences, not really playing, right? So, yeah. Cool, what's your take on it? Online purchases are paying the same or less for sealed products along with premium promo cards. Yeah, it's not though, right? Because even the buy box promos are in-store, right? And LSS has that stated that these are to be given out with in-store purchases. So do you still get? I don't even know if Team Covenant or any of the early people, maybe obviously Rudy probably still get something or something like that, but we're past that point, right? There's just too many stores to support with promos, so I don't think you are. And again, speaking on my situation, I know I'm not the only one in this sort of situation because yeah, there was an LGS 20 minutes away, which is more reasonable than 40 minutes each way, right? So for me to go there and buy would be fantastic, and I'd be happy to do that, right? Even if it is going to cost me extra on a few early boxes, but they don't sell it anymore, right? Bright Lights and Dust Till Dawn just killed them off, and that's the same situation in a lot of places, right? That you're either growing and doing well, or you're slowly dying when it comes to Fab. I don't think there is, a happy in between, unfortunately. So for a lot of people, shopping online is sort of the only realistic way to do it, right? So they know they're purchasing exactly what they're getting into. That's more than enough to have to wait a few extra hours. Problem is, yeah, again, it's not a few extra hours. In my situation, I'm not going to get them till most likely the middle of next week, right? So even if you discount the weekend, that's still 3 days from release, which again, there's nothing I can do about it. Oh well. But again, you'll have people in the same situation as me, worse situation, or yes, you'll have people who they get shipped out Friday morning and they got it Friday afternoon. But again, it's just so variable all over the place. For me, the release was 10 days ago when streamers and YouTube started breaking boxes. Regular dudes have to wait. Yeah. Again, this is fun. I personally, I stay away from it all because I know if I watch any of it, or even if I go to the Reddit main page and I see all the fantastic pulls that are the best of the best, not realistic, right, of the set, because obviously no one's going to show off a shit case. They're going to show off a good case, so that's what you see. If I go and look through all that, I'm not going to care about my boxes, and I want to enjoy the set for myself for a little bit first before I do all that, right? So yeah, I from yesterday, I have stayed away from Discord, from YouTube, from the Reddit main page, right? I've had all these tabs open because they're just stuff I want to discuss. But yeah, it is interesting that, it feels sort of like the release of any actual computer game, PlayStation game. Video game? Video game. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for, right? Where you do have all the streamers showing off and getting people excited. The problem is, that doesn't then lead to people being interested in boxes. It leads to people interested in singles and specific singles, which again, not every store sells singles, and that's going to hurt those stores, right? If people aren't incentivized to buy boxes, instead de-incentivized because they've lived vicariously through everyone else. But yeah, right, 10 days ago is such a huge number to think about, right? That is a long length of time from when, again, you can live vicariously through everyone else to you, right? It's an easy way to kill FOMO. But I'm sure it hasn't worked on everyone. It's really frustrating. Today we have an armory in our LGS and we don't have the new set we want to play. For the Berserk format, you buy a display and build a deck out of it, and now we have to play normal draft. It's awful. So yeah, again, there are, just issues with distribution across the board. But that's not really LSS. It's more just to do with regional shipping. And altogether, the window should probably be, changed a little bit. Problem is, if you send boxes to stores early, what's going to happen, right? Sure, they can't sell it. Small stores might be somewhat inclined to, reap the benefit rather than worry about the wrath of LSS and, banning them or anything like that. But then you'll have the other situation where lots of stores do get their product, relatively early so that they can break them down and sell singles. And again, it's just, there is no happy medium in reality, because again, if you push the release date earlier, then there's just going to be some way for other people to still get it earlier than that. And in trying to make sure every store has the product to run events, you'll have stores that use that to their benefit, right? But I do think it is, a topic worth thinking about and discussing, because altogether, I just not a big fan of the release cycle that LSS has made, right? Yeah, it is community driven, and that is fantastic, but I do think there's also, lots of bad situations predicated on the fact that, again, you have those drips and drabs, you have the set and the desire for singles overshadowing boxes, and stores selling just boxes. But I don't know. But I guess that'll do, right? Said my piece. I'm more in line to agree with this. It's funny, right? You usually get one way or the other, people disliking or people liking, but it's just torn. So there's people who secretly agree with this, people who secretly hate it, and that's all fine, right? Let me know your thoughts. But I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed.